Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, baseball fans. Welcome back to the Power Ranking Panel show on Barstool Baseball. This is Carl. It is Memorial Day. I hope everybody's enjoying their time off. Boys, welcome back to the show. I love a holiday show. Klemmer, I'll start with you as always. You look like you had a couple Saturday night cold ones.
I'm here. Yeah, I had a fun time last night. Went into the city, went into Story actually with my wife, and had a few drinks. Had a nice dinner. Watched the Celtics game. Watched the Mets game at a local bar. Had a few more. Came back home, and I'm here.
And we're talking about a Mets game in Colorado too. So this was a late night following it. Yeah.
Yeah, it started at 9. I mean, it's New York City, so you go to bed pretty late anyway. The original plan was we were gonna do this show around like 3:30 or 4. Carl texted us last night, says, "What do you guys think about doing 10 a.m.?" And my soul left my body, I think, but I'm here.
No, and I want to give Klemmer all the credit because as the oldest guy in the group, I feel I got to start with you because you got the oldest merit, the most shit going on. I mean, probably the least amount of shit going on, but just out of respect. And I started with you early in the week, like, hey, if we do a Memorial Day Power Rankings, you're in, right? You're like, yeah, we're building a brand. We got to do it. Like,
that's right.
10 a.m. So it's good to see you guys. Hubs, every time we record, you're in a more exotic location in New York. Where are you on the top of the Empire State Building right now?
This is my balcony view. I have a balcony.
It's very nice.
My butler will be serving me breakfast very soon.
Okay. And I'll just say quick, I fell off a bicycle yesterday trying to bring a pizza home. This is 4 summers in a row where I've injured a wrist on a bicycle or a scooter related thing. Kind of used to it by now. Yeah, I know. We were at a concert and I told Mrs. Carl, I said, you bike ahead, go home. I'll pick up the pizza. And it's only 4 blocks. Could not make the 4 blocks. Cars stop when you fall off a bicycle, by the way, and people ask if they can help you out. I don't want help when I'm injured, guys. I want help before I fall off the bike. Like someone pull over, throw me a fucking retweet, buy a t-shirt. Castellani, what's up with you?
Nothing. When I was in my teenage years, I had a lot of wrist issues. So
Jesus.
But you can cut that.
No, I'm not cutting it. I'm not. It's Memorial Day. We're not editing anything.
But no, I'm good. We got boots on the ground. I'm in downtown Detroit right now for this conclusion of the series against the White Sox. Tigers, as of now, 2 games under 500, 2 games out of first place with Erod on the mound today. Really good crowd at Comerica yesterday as well. Like they're dying to watch a good team. So, vibes are pretty good right now. Yeah, and they were giving out Riley Green floppy hats, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, watch on YouTube. You can get a look at Castellani's floppy hat, Hubs, exotic location. And honestly, just get a look. Klemmer, you're wearing a collared shirt. For a guy who had a couple last night, I mean, a collared shirt looks great. So
thanks. Yeah, Carl, I want to let you know, too, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of places will deliver pizza to your home now. If you call them. You don't need to bring it back on a bike.
Bro, if you're Addison, Bartoli's at Addison and Damon slings a great thin crust. I'm at Belmont and Damon. We were at Irving Park and Damon. So these are 4 block intervals where we're stopping. See, look here. You can see a little bit of the damage. Oh. Guys, we're fine. We're fine. Okay. Castellani brings up jerking off. I want to jerk off the best teams in baseball today.
Yeah, good. I was setting you up for a segue there, Carl.
Thank
you. You nailed it. Yes.
Per usual, we're going to do a top 9, little different flavor here. Instead of an established batting order, I'm just going to play manager of the show and get different guys to the plate based on what I think is good banter. And then there is a little bit of a conversation I want to have about Hall of Fame. This is a great time to be talking about Hall of Fame legacies with a couple guys that are winding down their careers. So
before we get into this, I do want to say this new format, totally on board, very excited for it. As a kid growing up in school, in college, when it was one of those smaller recitation classrooms where the teacher would just point on somebody like after the reading, and I'd want to just like evaporate. It was one of the worst times in my life. The anxiety of like there was no raising your hand. It was just, I'm going to point on you, and then you have to answer. I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to drop out. So that's where I'm feeling right now.
I won't. It'll be in a manner that I think is. I just want to facilitate good, fluid conversation here. So we've done a couple weeks in a row where we're, and there's a lot of teams, and as I was putting my 1 through 9 together, I said, man, it's a lot. I don't want to go down too repetitive. So let's just try and have a little bit. It's a great day to talk baseball. It's a great day. It's Memorial Day. It's America's pastime. It's the best sport of all time. And I'm with some of the best people to talk about baseball with. So, boys, let's strap it on 1 through 9. Our first hitter is Chris Castellani. Chris, give me the first team.
Well, man, I think this team remains undefeated in these power rankings. But I got to go with it. You got to go with the Tampa Bay Rays. I feel like everything that's been thrown their way this season, they've been able to handle. Even with the pitching injuries, the lineup is still so deep. They see the ball so well. Really good series so far. I know we're recording here on Sunday, but against the Dodgers and maybe a World Series preview. The one downside I will say, I think you guys will agree with this, but I'm curious to see. I think this is the first time since we've been doing these where I feel like the gap between 1 and 2 is getting a little bit closer. Like there was a minute there when they got off to that, what were they, 24-6 or whatever, where it was them and then a wide margin between them and the number 2 team. I feel like it is getting closer. Part of that's just water finding its level, but it's an exceptionally talented team that's playing with a ton of confidence, and they're just offensively. They are the best kind of offense because they're a legitimate pest. They work up pitch counts. Like you can pitch well against this team and still throw 100 pitches by the 4th inning. I mean, that's how good they are. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a very fun team to watch. It feels like their opportunity. It feels at many points in the early stage of the season like it's been their year. Maybe the gap isn't as wide as it once was, but right now you got to call them the best team in baseball.
Impossible to argue that. I mean, we say it every week and on how much better they are than everybody else. And they have this, the series against the Dodgers is pretty interesting. Like Chris said, like, is this a potential World Series matchup? It's fun to see them play against. I was wondering how the series is going to go because we see the Rays play the Yankees a lot. We see the Rays play some of the obviously the teams in the AL a lot, but a great team in the NL. That's why I love this new schedule. I love the idea of these teams playing every team because what were the odds we would have seen a Rays Dodgers series, it would have been like a 1-3 shot, right? So it's fun. We get to see this, and it's paying off. One of the games I know wasn't particularly close, but the other game was. I'm curious to see how this series wraps up.
I have a interesting kind of proposition with the schedule change. Do you think that with the new schedule, the whole idea of the playoffs being such a crapshoot might go to the wayside a little bit? Because I feel like the Phillies were substantially better than an 86-win ball club last year, and had they have played a regular schedule where they're not playing the Braves and Mets 38 times, they probably would have been more of a contender. Do you feel like that's changing a little bit where teams that are actually the real contenders are going to be the 95-plus win teams, and they'll prove it based on who they play in the regular season?
I mean, they still play the Nationals and Phillies 38 times. So,
right.
I mean, Marlins 38 times, excuse me. So,
Marlins are good.
It's only 24 times.
I know.
Oh, no, last year. That's true. That's good.
Yeah, no, it's going to make it'll make a substantial change on. I think it'll be a more fluid conversation to say who were the best teams in baseball this year. I think in the Phillies example last year is a perfect, 84 wins, but gets to the World Series. Okay, Rays
one quick thing on the Rays. I don't want to, pound too much on the Blue Jays, but Alek Manoah trying to get right and facing that lineup was just a recipe for disaster. Like that's a team that just grinds anybody out. Never mind a guy who can't throw a strike to save his life right now. That was not pretty. He was up to 89 pitches in the 3rd inning. Just hard to watch. They got Glasnow back this week too. He didn't look like the sharpest of sharp, but he'll only get better. And that team, if they just have any semblance of health moving forward, they're going to be totally fine.
I know we're probably not going to talk Blue Jays. I do want to do a quick aside here. Is Alek Manoah, is he broken? He's never struggled at any level in baseball, minor leagues, the first 2 years in majors. His descent this year is stunning. It's I keep waiting for him to turn around. He keeps getting worse.
And it's the worst kind of broken where you're not going to send him down and you're not going to move him to the pen. He's going to have to take his lumps right now every 5th day, unless you do one of those phantom IL stints to just hopefully get him right. This is going to be his arc for the remainder of the year. It's you're going to have to throw him to the wolves.
Yeah, his slider has turned into the worst pitch in Major League Baseball. It went from one of the best pitches to one of the worst pitches. He's thrown the most most pitches per inning in all of baseball. He's got a lot of worse next to his name, and it's not a good thing. And yeah, they don't have the luxury of sending him down because a guy like Ryu is hurt still. So they need him. They need horses. They need arms up there to even tread water at this point, and it's brutal.
Hey, my last thing on the Rays is that they're the 5th fastest team in Major League Baseball history to 100 home runs. And I was going to talk about Tyler Glasnow was throwing 97 in his start back. He struck out 8 of the 19 hitters he faced. He gave up a couple hits and probably, gets hit around a little bit. Command's not what it needs to be. Not great by any stretch. Obviously first time back coming off injury, but Yeah, like they very well could be a better team next week when we talk about them in a month from now. With Tyler Glass now coming back, is one of the best midseason fucking pickups anybody's gonna get. So
Yep.
2 hubs.
Happy I was going 2. Wanted 2. It's Texas Rangers.
Yep.
And honestly, with their matchup this weekend, it was kind of, I could have went Baltimore here. I could have went Texas here, depending how that series went. Texas has took it to Baltimore this weekend, and then they took 2 or 3 against Pittsburgh. They look all the part of just a team that is on the rise and not really going to fade off. Corey Seager is slugging .639 in his 9 games since coming back with 3 homers and 14 RBIs. They look all a part of a team that's just not going anywhere. They haven't lost a road series since late April when they played the Reds. Oddly enough, they were swept in that series, but the Rangers are moving forward here full speed.
And I was nervous last week when I brought them in at the 2 spot, and it does feel good now a week later. So just they're very dominant. And thank you for bringing up Corey Seager's .639 slug.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Carl, they called you a madman, but the way that they played this week, I mean, this week was the first time, and they've played well all season. The first time I've said, you know what, I think the Rangers can win the World Series, because outside of the fact this offense is like almost flawless roster construction when it comes to this offense 1 through 9 right now. Like there is nobody I want to face really in that lineup. But what has impressed me is they're getting really good starting pitching out of like not guys they took flyers out on, but like Andrew Heaney's been really good for them. John Gray's stepped it up. Evaldi has it's 2018 and he's pitching for the Red Sox in October again. Like he's just been phenomenal. I do have some concerns about that bullpen, but I think what is bizarre for a team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2016, the Rangers are chock full of veterans that have made deep playoff runs or been in the playoffs before. Seager's won a World Series. Semion's been in the playoffs. Robbie Grossman's been in the playoffs. Evaldi's won a World Series. So even though that on paper it may seem like an inexperienced team, it's really not. And, well, I still in the long run think it's Houston's division. The one big positive I can say about them is I don't think they're afraid of the Astros. Like, I think that over past years, like other teams in the West, like, you just don't want to face them. There's enough there that they can hang with them and beat them. I'm very impressed by the Texas Rangers. Yeah, I had them at 2 as well.
Me too. Their starting pitching's phenomenal. And and even when DeGrom goes out, they put in Dane Dunning, and then he was doing great. I think they might just send him down temporarily. I mean, the starting pitching they have has been exceptional. Chris's point, the bullpen being the weak link, you're absolutely right, Chris. But I think that's something you can fix at the deadline.
100%.
It's easy enough to go and get 2 or 3, decent bullpen arms. If that's what you have to get, if that's your Achilles heel is I need to get 2 or 3 bullpen arms, that is probably the easiest, thing on the list to get. So a lot easier than trying to find a power hitting first baseman or a key starting pitcher. A lot of bad teams have good relievers they would be willing to trade you. Like Hubs and I were talking about like Lovelady on the A's. Like,
or even Aroldis Chapman on the Royals. That he goes right to the top of the list of a guy that the Rangers could use.
Yeah, so there's a lot of options there that might not be options for other teams, but they have different holes to fill. Yep. The Rangers are awesome. They're not just beating teams; they're just kicking the shit out of them, and they haven't lost a step since they got Corey Seager back. I think they won like 8 of 9 games, 8 of their last 9. I mean, 8 of their last 10 at least. They're just getting better. The Rangers are awesome right now.
They instilled the fear of God in Grayson Rodriguez the other night. I mean, they were making him eat his lunch, and like you could tell, Camden Yards just wanted to go nuts, but he just crushed him.
He's down.
Yeah, they sent him down.
Did they officially? I feel like they had to. Yeah.
So, and I'm sure we'll get to the Orioles in a second, but you bring up Grayson Rodriguez. Yeah, getting sick. That's just so bad. That's just so bad. And the Orioles should be ashamed of themselves for bringing that kid up and then putting his ass back down and talking about stuff like fastball command. Go fuck yourself, guys.
Is that the reasoning they basically said? No,
that's Brandon High gets out, starts talking about fastball command, confidence with the breaking ball. You brought that guy into the big leagues. You didn't know he didn't have that? What?
Well,
that's pathetic. That's pathetic.
I don't know, Carl. I'll push back on you a little on this. The Orioles don't have starting pitching, so they're willing to throw stuff against the wall. I remember, I'm going to throw some old name at you here, but Jeff Suppan, when the Red Sox 1995, they were kind of in the playoff hunt. They were surprised to be there. And they threw Jeff Suppan to the Wolves. And he got hit harder than Grayson did. They had to send him back down. He still had a nice career. Like, sometimes you have
Grayson Rodriguez is the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball, or the number 2 or number 3. He ain't outside the top 3, though. No. He's the next big righty.
Yep.
And the Orioles are good enough. They went out and got Cole Irvin, gave him 3 starts, and sent his ass home. Like
Right.
Cole Irvin is a big league pitcher. He was a
Yeah.
big league pitcher last year. A short leash with him so that they could bring up Grayson Rodriguez. Like I have huge issues with the Orioles historically in their player development with the pitchers. I've said that last week when we talked about the Orioles. Just fuck it. Does anybody want to put them 3?
They were probably 3 for
no.
me. Yeah.
There were three for me.
They were not for me. Yeah.
Oh!
Have Chris take him 3.
Oh, no, sorry. They were not 3. They were 4 for me. My bad.
I had him
Okay.
6.
You had them fucking 6? Who?
Yep.
All right, Klemmer, give me your 3. We'll get back to the Orioles. This is chaos. Who's your 3?
I have the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's what I had.
The Dodgers are. I mean, look. The Dodgers have been so good for so long. They're gonna get a little extra respect from me here. And like, I don't think they even really need it. They're on pace. They have a 604 winning percentage in the year. It's not like I'm doing a charity case here. I just believe in them. They'll get Urias back in a week or 2. Dustin May, that has me a little concerned. But then they got Gonsolin back, who's doing great. But then you get Bobby Miller out there who throws a nice start. Like the Dodgers, that machine just keeps on rolling. And I think at some point you're kind of idiotic if you don't have the Dodgers really high on the list because they've earned it. They won 111 games last year, whatever the hell they did last year. Like they're just a machine. And, we talk about them all the time. Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. You go through that lineup, JD Martinez. It's sick how good they are. I don't know. I have no problem putting the Dodgers 3. And I would not want my team to face them in the playoffs. I don't want my team to face them in the regular season. The Dodgers are terrifying.
I like this Dodgers team, and that's the first time I've said that about a Dodgers team, maybe like since Piazza played.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like that. The Dodgers, but they're.
What did I say?
I was going to say underdog, but like they're a little bit scrappier than some other Dodger teams have been in the past. Because
I think, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I think the fact that they flew under the radar in free agency too kind of made it seem like they coming into the year, and we had this show. It was the Padres who were the sexy pick too. I think the fact that they've enjoyed not being the team that leads from the front and being somewhat by their standards, an under the radar club. Yeah.
The other thing for the Dodgers too is that the Padres are kind of been a disaster so far this year. The Giants are 500. So the Diamondbacks are good, but there's no one, I don't think, in that division that is super competitive right now with the Dodgers. I thought it was going to be the Padres. I was wrong about that, or at least wrong so far about that. So I think the Dodgers also have a much clearer path to the playoffs than a team like the Orioles do, even though the Orioles have a better record. Yeah. So that's why I have the Dodgers 3.
It's good.
Do you feel
this is good? All that's very good, Klemmer. The Diamondbacks are 29-23 at the time of recording this. They've dropped 3 straight. Very disappointing because I was hoping to show up in this and be like, ooh, maybe a little Diamondback surge. It's not this week. Maybe next week. Sorry. Back to you, Chris Castellani.
Well, real quick with the Dodgers about them. Do you feel like that can hurt them come postseason if you win the division by 15 games?
Yeah.
Like that the chase. This has happened to them before. The chase is over. Like officially over, like first week of September, and then you're just kind of resting. I remember in 2017 they had a horrible September after they clinched the division and ended up losing in the World Series. But so we'll see. That is just one thing on my mind. But they've been playing incredibly well. So it's back to me for 4. I am going to go.
Nope, no, it's not. It's not to you. Nope. I'm fucking manager today, pal.
Okay, I thought you said
all right. Little flip flop. I got the lineup card. You're back in the dugout, Castellani. I'm actually. Hubs here. I'm pinch hitting Hubs here because I want to give him a little comfort spot. He already told me set off the top, a little anxious. I know he's holding Orioles here 4, so I'm going to tee you up here, Hubs. Give me a good solid Orioles take.
Hey, listen, they went in the Yankee Stadium this week. Now, obviously, they haven't played well against Texas, but in the grand scheme of things, they went in the Yankee Stadium this week and played very good baseball and took the series against them. Honestly, that series was weird. Like the Orioles could have swept, the Yankees could have swept. It was just a very odd series, but the Orioles come out on top, and they impressed me. They look very good. Their offense terrifies me. It just does. And yeah, we have questions about the pitching, no doubt. Grayson Rodriguez getting sent down, concerning. Dean Kramer, what do we have in him? But overall, like this is a very solid team that shouldn't drop anywhere below 4. You can make an argument that are they the 4th best team in baseball right now? Like the way they're playing, the way they looked against Texas? Maybe not, but I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable dropping them anywhere below 4 at this point.
Now, Klemmer, why'd you have him 6?
Yeah, I just don't believe in them as much as I do some other teams. Like I don't want to give teams away, but I don't know if they have, like I said, the clearest path to the playoffs. They, like I said, the Grayson Rodriguez thing. Like what worries me there is just their lack of starting pitching, and I think it's just really evident at times. So those are my major concerns. You look at that starting pitching staff right now, and it's not good. Go through the names there. You mentioned Cole Irvin; they brought him back up. I think it's sort of they wanted to bring him back up, and then they end up sending him right back down. He's got an ERA of 10.38, but you got Kyle Gibson, Dean Kramer, Tyler Wells, Kyle Bradish. Like, that is not a rotation that sparks a lot of confidence in me. I don't believe in them entirely. They're playing great.
What's the worst rotation you can remember to win a World Series?
The 87 Twins had a guy named Les Straker as their third or fourth starter. Like, that 87 Twins team had a very bad rotation. They had Frank Viola, they had Bert Blyleven, but I think that's about it. The rest of that staff is pretty rough.
I would go I'm partial, sadly, to the 06 Cardinals, because once you got past Chris Carpenter, you had Anthony Reyes wearing a flat brim going 8 innings, one earned run in game 1 of the World Series, and never pitched well again. Speaking of which, wasn't Suppan he was NLCS MVP that year?
Yeah, he was. 36-year-old Suppan. Then you had Big J, Jeff Weaver.
Yes, right.
That's right. Yeah.
I feel like Klemmer's criticism right now with the Orioles is he's doing that future thing again. And, it's whether we want to factor that in, and it feels like he's factoring in 100% with the Orioles. And that's fair. That's the way he judges teams. I just feel like I'm just looking at the Orioles right now as they are more for number 4 than Klemmer putting them at 6 because he's doing the future cast thing again.
Well, right now the pitching's not that great.
But
they're winning games.
Yeah.
They are. They have a 635 winning percentage.
Yeah.
I can't argue that. Then their bullpen's very good.
Very good.
Their bullpen is outstanding. But right now, if your team is playing the Orioles right now and you're going against those starting pitchers, I'm still not maybe as nervous as maybe I should be.
But they are a team where if they're down 4 early on, they know that dugout knows they can come back and are going to come back in that game. That's how good that offense can work as a cohesive group right now.
I also think adding a starting pitcher, while it's hard to go find it and give that capital up, but if you have to make an improvement, you're like, oh, we just added a starting pitcher. That's way easier than we have to improve hitting across the lineup, and our power sucks, and we need to get a couple good lefties.
Right.
All the hard parts for the Orioles are done. Going out and finding somebody at the trade deadline to go give them 10 good starts in the second half and be not horrible in an ALDS. I mean, that's pretty low on the totem pole when it comes to difficulty.
You talk about their lineup being so great, but they're 6th in on base in the American League. They're 6th in slugging. They're not this great dominant lineup either.
Yeah, but if you said Major League, though, then they're probably 9th. Or if you say they're 6th in the American League, they're probably 8th in Major League Baseball. So they are a top 10 offense to me.
But they got to worry about the teams in the AL to make the playoffs.
They do.
And you still have the Rays in front of them. So they're going to have to obviously probably fight for that wild card. They're not going to pass the Rays. So I just have some concerns. I had the Orioles as the 6th best team in baseball. It's not like I think they're shitty. I just don't think that they are as high as maybe you guys do.
Here's another thing to why I had them at 4. Their teams below them right now, not spoiler, but Braves, Astros, those teams aren't setting the world on fire right now. So that's why I had the Orioles at 4. The Orioles are playing better baseball overall than those teams.
Braves are pretty good.
Hey, they've lost some games. Don't give me that Mets stuff just because you guys can't get ahead of them. 5.
That's low. That was low.
It is low, and it's also not really fair. The Braves are also really fucking good. They're not just beating the Mets; they're beating a lot of other people too.
We are going to have a fight here for number 5, I think. Now, I don't want to. I'm not giving it to Hubs here because I know what Hubs is going to do with the 5 spot, and I want there to be more objective and biased reasoning in the 5 spot.
I don't know if I would have went the way you think, but
okay,
no. I just hit 4, so hit some. We can't have me bat every time.
All right, I'm contemplating hitting 5, but I don't want to throw a wrench in there. We're going to go back to Castellani. Let me see the power swing right here.
Okay, power swing. I'm going with the defending champs. I'm going with the Astros. Now, it helps that they play.
They got the 24th OPS in baseball.
That's fine. They keep winning. They keep. First of all, a lot of that is skewed because you're without Altuve basically the first month and a half of the season. Jose Abreu has been the worst player in baseball. Like, he's just god awful. That obviously impacts team OPS, but their pitching rules. It's the same thing last year. As good as that offense was last year, and it was great, every game they won in the postseason, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, 4-2, 1-0, 3-1, 3-2, because their starting rotation and their bullpen was so dominant. Now, I know the bullpen probably isn't as good as it was last year. Montero's had his struggles. Abreu's filthy. Presley's always solid. And despite the amount of pitching injuries they've had, and they've had some crushing ones, that 1-2-3 going into a playoff series, Framber Valdez, who at this point I trust in a big game, maybe more than any pitcher in baseball, Christian Javier, and Hunter Brown, who's a total stud. I think that this is a team. I get what you're saying, but when you get to the postseason, rosters kind of become shortened. Like Jose Abreu ain't going to be batting cleanup in the playoffs. Like, and you can manipulate the rotation a little bit. You get more off days. And ultimately, I get what you're saying. Like, of course, like that does stand out. But like Klemmer brought up with the Dodgers, I'm just willing to give them a little bit more leeway here because of who they are, and also the team that. And I'm not going to spoil the team I was going to pick ahead of them has not impressed me, and I feel like might actually have a few issues over the last week or so. Again, no spoilers, but the Astros, yeah, got them 5. Helps they're playing the A's this series, who've lost 9 in a row, but that's going to be a great divisional race. 2 great teams.
Castellani may be wearing the ugliest hat I've ever seen, but he's absolutely right. Look at the Astros. They lose Urquidy, they lose Louis Garcia. They won 10 out of 12.
Yeah.
This team is very, very, very good. They have a history of dominance, and I just think they're excellent. I think we all think they're excellent. I mean, the idea that I have the Astros ahead of the Orioles as you guys are treating like some kind of war crime, that's just not true. That's just not true. Like, the Astros deserve to be up this high.
That is a fair point. When you break it down objectively like that, it's like, yeah, you probably, when your argument against the Orioles did carry a lot of water, did carry a lot of weight. Like, that made sense.
Yeah, I had them 6th. 5 is okay. They got shut out back-to-back games by the Brewers, and it was against Rhea and Hauser. Their offense can disappear at times. And Carl even said, the stats back that up too. This is not like the same Astros team as years past, but I definitely still fear them, and I still probably would pick them to win the West at this point. Even how good the Rangers are, I still just think there's so much time for the Astros to get in full gear here and become like normal Astros, just well-oiled machine. But you have to consider, they've won 10 of 12. You said they're beating the A's and they're beating the Cubs in that span. Like, they're just beating up on bad teams. So I don't know how battle tested they are at the moment. When they start to play Texas and and the Yankees and all these other teams, even like the Blue Jays they have coming up here, then I'll give them more of a chance to be up there in the top 4. But right now, I can't put them any higher than 5. No way.
You have Altuve, just got off the DL. He's got an on-base percentage over 400. They are kind of rolling into shape here. They are. That's a huge get for that lineup.
It is.
They also have the best hitter in baseball too. I mean, that helps. Even with an offense that struggled.
Yeah,
like I said,
Alex
they're winning the West. They're going to win.
There's a guy in the Bronx who might be a better hitter, but
yeah, just thinking about this, I thought there'd be more controversy around 5, but I suppose that Baltimore series with the Yankees was, that goes another way. Maybe we're singing a different tune here.
Probably, but we're not, because they played like shit in the last 2 games.
So then the next question is, there's a team in that National League, and then I'm trying to figure out where I would probably Klemmer, I want you to decide this one.
So what number are we on now?
6.
6.
Yep.
So we haven't said the Braves yet, right?
Correct.
They were my 6.
They were my 5th.
Okay, so we're slotting the Braves here at 6 comfortably.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I know Carl seems to think I have some bias because the Braves beat the Mets every year, but the Braves are, biased or not, they're very good. They've been very good for a while now. I think the Sean Murphy addition has been huge. He's hit way better than I would have expected, honestly. Better than anyone expected. His slugging percentage is .567. He's part of that great group of catchers you have, like Will Smith. I mean, there's so many good catchers right now. Adley, that we didn't have a few years ago. Murphy is having a career year. even like Marcel Ozuna,
On fire.
bad human being. He's been having a hell of a year. So the Braves have some holes. We talk about every week. Michael Harris, the second, isn't playing to his ability. The Max Fried injury has me concerned. The Kyle Wright injury is concerning. But I don't, like, for instance, as a Mets fan, I don't want to see the Braves in the schedule. They frighten me. And I would rather play the Orioles than the Braves just because I fear the Braves more because of their dominance, where the Orioles have to show me a little bit more before I'm as scared, for instance.
Shout out to Bryce Elder. Having
Yeah.
quite the year, and especially in May. What's that year right? 184 right now, and a shade under how many innings is he thrown? 29 and a third. Bryce Elder is giving me more reason to take the Braves. Like, I have rotation questions with them, and their injuries, obviously, we talked about this as well. But Bryce Elder's like really establishing himself right now is helping their cause big time.
I'm with you. That is my issue with them, though, is that rotation right now. A fully healthy Fried, no problem. Like, I'm happy with that. You set with that. Maybe by the postseason, that's what we get. But you got no Fried. Charlie Morton has been fine this year, but Charlie Morton's a million years old. Like, I mean, the deeper the season goes, like, how much can you trust him to give you, 150 to 200 total innings, including postseason? Bryce Elder has been wonderful. He's also been an anomaly because his baseball savant, he's in like the single percentile in like exit velo and stuff like that. Like, he has been probably the luckiest pitcher in baseball. Hey, Bulldog getting results, exactly what they needed. But you look at the numbers there, it's indicative of a pitcher who will probably come back down to earth at some point. It's an amazing lineup. Like, I could easily see them being as high as 2 next week. We do this week to week. They've kind of struggled. They've lost 2 at home against the Phillies, in which the offense, especially yesterday, just didn't wake up at all. Wheeler was a huge reason for that. So I still have them at 6. Excellent team, but they have dipped a little bit because I wasn't crazy about this week.
The price, okay.
So I have the top 6 teams, the 6 teams we've mentioned. There's a pretty big drop off for me, and there's the 7 team, and there's a huge drop off, and there's 8 and 9. But I think these top 6, those are the ones where it's like, oh, where do I slot them? I don't know. Like, it's kind of, it was hard to make the top 6 list. One is the Rays, but then after that, it gets a little muddy. I would say there's 6 dominant teams in baseball, and these are the 6.
And you know what? I think that number 6 has popped up a couple shows. I think we've talked top 6.
Yeah.
It seems now one team that has come out, and then like the Astros have come into it, and a team has come out of it.
Yeah. Maybe that's a trend we'll see all season, but yeah, these 6 are the 6 that is like, oh shit! Like, you see them on your schedule, and you're flipping around on extra innings package on MLB TV, and you see they're playing. You're like, I gotta stop here and watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to say this about Bryce Elder as it relates to the Braves as an organization. Okay, he was the 5th rounder in 2020. There were only 5 rounds in 2020. It's just it's more than him just being a good pitcher and being a guy they drafted. That 2020 draft was a nightmare for teams because they couldn't scout guys. They didn't see guys a lot. Sort of like Bryce Elder, take him. The fact that he's in the big leagues now at 24 is just so much about their draft development conviction too. He leads Major League Baseball right now in wild pitches and ERA, which I love. Anytime we can get both ends of a spectrum, is a great statistical anomaly there. Michael Harris is hitting 169 in May with a 555 OPS. His power numbers are actually not bad for a 169 average, and he's still I think he walked 7 times this month, which isn't, I mean, it could be way worse. 7 to 20 walk to strikeout ratio as a 22-year-old. That could be a lot worse for how bad he's being. So if it's June and you see this guy go, hit 450 in June, I wouldn't be surprised, especially with young baseball players. It's so hard to hit consistently. You get these grooves where you feel hot and you're invincible, and then you go these ruts. I mean, even fucking Mike Trout will go for 30, and the scouting report says pump him 4-seamers down the middle because he's a head case. Like, they're just, you run into these little slumps. So I'm convinced Michael Harris is going to end the season with a tremendous stat line from where he is right now. Right now, bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel right now. Yes.
Carl, pushing back on that 2020 thing, you talk about the draft, and it's a great point. Like, right, like a lot of scouts, a lot of teams were just really like, well, how do we look at these players? Why did the Braves do so well with Elder? Is that a tribute to their scouting, that they had scouted him earlier? Is that a tribute to the analytics department they have there? What do you think separates them to have the intelligence to draft someone like Elder?
Dude, I'll put the elder thing to the soft stuff of like, all right, if you only have 5 rounds and you can make, say if they had a comp pick too, say at 5 or 6 picks, you don't like you have to start to minimize the risk on these picks. So like a high school guy becomes less interesting to you. And so Texas is like is a pitcher factory. So like if you had to work off of less information, you would start at some of the great powerhouse programs, UCLA, Texas. I would be like a hotbed for scouts because you're getting a more refined player. And then the other aspect would be if you're taking players that didn't compete that season, a place like Texas has the culture where you can still improve. Like if LSU and Texas didn't play a college schedule and they only did intramural scrimmages, those players would still get better throughout the year because the competition's fucking unbelievable. So there could be some aspects of that. The other thing too, he's just fucking big as fuck. And in the fastball is hard to square up. His power numbers, his slug numbers are difficult against. That could be a trend that they liked with Spencer Strider too, because they drafted him in the 4th round. He was coming off elbow issues in Clemson. He wasn't a guy that got seen a lot. So I think there could be something with the Braves where they like fastball, like guys with funky fastballs, hard to square up, obviously low slug against. So like Bryce Elder's never given up. He's given up half a home run a game now. I'm getting long in the tooth here about this Bryce Elder stuff, but you're hitting me on a sweet spot, Klemmer, because this is one of my passions. It's like, how the fuck did they find this guy? How?
It's crazy that Strider was 4th rounder. Because I mean, you could take someone who's never seen a game of baseball in their life, have them watch a Spencer Strider start, and you know this guy is better than everyone else. Like his stuff is so dominant, so
right.
It's wild that he would fall to the 4th round.
Yeah, I think it's when you're undersized and you have a major arm issue, like people just, oh, he's weak. He doesn't have the lower half. I mean, if you look at Spencer Strider from the waist down, his butt goes out like he should have like 1 million followers on Instagram on his butt cheeks alone. Also the breaking ball stuff, it's just so nasty. And I am interested. I think there's going to be a great story to tell, a la Moneyball, with players rehabbing from Tommy John and rehabbing from. I think like 2 decades from now a decade from now we'll have a great story about like what was that pivotal thing. Because before guys got Tommy John, you're like, this guy's fucked. Now a guy gets Tommy John, you're like, can't wait to see what he looks like when he comes back. Okay, maybe I got a little too fucking. Bryce Elder. We'll revisit Bryce Elder's slugging percentage against later. Hubs, I'll let you take 7. I'll let you take the 7 spot. It's all
I think it's a consensus across the board. And I think they were there last week as well. And the Yankees are the number 7 team. They would have been higher if they had won that Baltimore series and didn't lose it like they did. Thankfully, they took the Saturday game against the Padres. They continue to get nothing out of left field. It's a complete 0. Although IKF, I guess, has the walk-off hit yesterday. But as a whole, Oswaldo Cabrera, he's on the verge of being sent down. I think when Giancarlo returns in about a week, I think they expect him for the Dodgers series. Hopefully, that will be so big if they can get a good Giancarlo back here. Obviously, does he stay healthy from now to the postseason? Probably not. But they have their question marks. Luis Severino is helping restore something there to the rotation. He looked great, I thought, on Saturday, and he looked good against the Reds as well in his debut. The Yankees are my 7 team, and they have room to improve, no doubt. I don't think it's doing them any justice to put them any lower than 7, though. Like Klemmer said, there is a gap between 7, 8, 9, in my opinion.
Yeah, I went to the Yankees game on Friday, and Hubs and I were talking during the game because Randy Vasquez was making his major league debut.
Yep.
He actually really impressed me. His curveball, Hubs said he's got a great curveball. It might be the best in the minor
It's
league.
like 3,200 RPM, something like that. Yeah.
And that Padres lineup, especially the top half, is pretty good. You got Soto, Tatis, Bogarts. It's pretty legitimate. And Vasquez, especially the first 2 times around the order, he held the Padres at bay. Now, the 3rd time around the order, the wheels came off. But major league debut, to have this guy in your, in AAA, that's a good thing. If I'm a Yankee fan, I'm really excited about Vasquez's spot.
Now he's not like an answer this year. He's out of necessity because Domingo Germán is an asshole. And was suspended, and they can't replace him while he's suspended on the roster. So they had to just call Stu up. And I think they were hoping for like 2-3 innings out of, because he doesn't have the greatest control. He did great. I was happy for Randy. It's a shame they couldn't get any runs across the board.
I wonder if they're going to be able to move someone like him, though, for other pieces. Like, especially if you're a major league team, if you're the Royals or you're a team that's struggling, the Reds, whatever, and you see a guy go out there and do that and know that he potentially isn't that far away from being a major league starting pitcher, I'd be willing to talk some turkey with you. That Randy Vasquez, he really impressed me.
Talk some turkey with you.
That's right. Let's get down. Let's get down to brass tacks, baby. Let's make some.
I got some turkey. I got some turkey. I want to talk. Tatis Jr. in right field in Yankee Stadium has been awesome.
Electric.
Yeah,
awesome stuff to follow. There was a story when he was in Wrigley. I went to the game, watched him in Wrigley. He's very interactive. He turns and talks the whole game. And if you yell something like loud enough for him to hear it, he will fucking turn around and clap back, and not mean or anything. The Yankees fans are obviously the worst fans to play. They can be the meanest. They are the
passionate. We're passionate people.
No offense. Maybe I'm sure Red Sox fans can say it otherwise, but I just see the Yankees as being the meanest team in baseball. And I've loved the way he's interacted with the fans, clapping back, turn around. They were yelling at him steroids the first game. He turned around, he just started waving at just pointing at his wrist. And afterwards he said, yeah, it was way too soon for that first inning. Nah, you could have saved that one way more. And so I like that shit so much because, and as he explained, he grew up in MLB clubhouses. He's like, there's nothing you're going to say to me I can't handle. Like, I love this stuff. So
yeah, I would maybe not do that chant moving forward. They do the fuck Altuve chant. It doesn't work. They do this chant. It does. Stop chanting these things at players and fueling them because they always comes back to hurt you every time.
You guys got to start heckling shitty players. Like it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. But shit pumping Altuve and Tatis, they're too good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any concern about Tatis doing that stuff? Like,
yes,
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm an old man, I know that, but I watch that. I don't mind bat flips. I love theatrics. But when you start chirping back at the fans, it means that you hear them. And obviously everyone has a lot of questions about Tatis' maturity. And when I see him do that, I don't think I wince, honestly. I'm like, oof, I don't know, man. Like, what are you doing?
But then he goes and rips a 430-foot home run.
He does. He's obviously incredibly talented.
He's so good. I
just worry about that long term. Like, is he going to start? What happens when he goes into slump and people are chirping him? Is he going to be able to handle that? And he's someone who just, like I said, he might have the least maturity in all of baseball. So I don't know. I see that, and I don't know. I'm not thrilled about it. But
I think it can go both ways. And my initial take when I saw it was like, this is not good if you're the manager. But then it's like, what do you say to this guy anyways? You paid him $314 million after he spent like 50 games in the big leagues.
Yeah.
He grew up in big league clubhouse. He's not just going to turn around and be like, you're right, I'll run hard, keep my mouth shut and all this shit. Like, if he can handle it, Klemmer, I'm with you 100%. If he can handle, and it won't affect him when he starts to slump, and he's not going to throw a temper tantrum, and he doesn't fucking end up bitching at somebody in the on deck circle. But I think that, like, that's a huge risk. So we'll see it play out. But I think it's interesting to see a superstar engage with the fans as much as he has coming back from controversy. Like, he's really enjoying himself.
Big time. I mean, last year we did it with Miles Straw, a complete loser 9-hitter who will be lucky to hit 150. When you're seeing it with back and forth with a superstar, it's a little different. It gets everyone's talking a bit in baseball about that interaction this weekend. It's a lot of fun.
8. Let's who's feeling dangerous? Who does not want 8? Oh, that was a squeak. Klemmer, you got it.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm never, I'll jump in whenever. So there are 3 teams, in my opinion. So we have 8 and 9. So it means this musical chair is one team's going to be left off here.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Twins. So,
okay.
Yeah. And that's fine. I once again look at maybe this a little bit differently than you guys, where I'm like, all right, who has the best kind of chance of the postseason? I kind of factor those things as opposed to who's playing the best right now. The Twins are not playing terribly great baseball right now, but they are still ahead in the weak National League Central, and they do still have those 3 arms. And as long as Lopez, Ryan, and Gray are healthy, I'm probably going to keep, and they're in first place, I'm probably going to keep putting them on this list. Now, their offense has some real issues. Correa's hurt, leg injuries. We're already concerned about his ankle. Now he's got other stuff going on. He hasn't played well when he's been out there, and he's their big investment. Obviously, he's their big ticket. So, but, the Twins do have, they have Duran closing those games out. He might have the most electric stuff. I'm not saying he's the best closer in baseball, but he's might have the best stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Gallo and Buxton are hitting well enough where they are getting wins here, and they play in that lousy division. Now, can the Guardians catch them? Can Chris's Tigers catch them? I don't know, but right now the Twins are on the playoff track, and for that reason, I have them at 8.
Yeah, this Twins team is substantially different than a few Twins teams of recent history where I felt like they had the offensive firepower to hang with teams and yet never had the rotation to keep up in the playoffs, usually against the Yankees. You bring up the big three of those arms, but dude, Bailey Over has been fantastic for them. 3-1 with a 2.55 ERA. Like, they have a playoff rotation like that you in a 5-game series you look at and like you're going to have to hunker down. There's just so many struggles offensively, and it's just they got the series against the Blue Jays where they're split so far as the time of this recording. But to me, what's going to get me to believe in the Minnesota Twins is like I expect you to beat the Royals. I expect you to beat some of the bad teams in your division. But it seems like every time we start to buy into them, they'll have a series against the Yankees where they lose 3 in a row. Every time we start to buy into them, they'll have a series against the Dodgers where they get swept. I need to see some consistently good series against good teams. But then at 8 makes sense. Look, I mean, we can bitch and moan all we want. They are a first place team. Like, they are in a position that most teams would like to be in right now.
And Chris,
right on cue, by the way, they play the Astros coming up here.
Exactly right. And then they play the Guardians. So next week is going to be a little bit of what Chris is looking for. Is like, all right, let's see what you can do.
Yep.
I didn't have him on my 9.
I didn't have him on my list.
I didn't either.
I had him 10th.
I did not have my list.
I had two teams. I had 2 teams ahead of him.
It's tough. I think like there's 3 teams fighting for 2 spots here. I'm guessing the Twins was on the outside, and I have a team that's on the outside that you guys have.
I'm not gonna lie, I only was able to make 8 teams. I couldn't find a 9th that was deserving of being on the list.
I got a 9th. You guys are gonna hate it. I might get banished from Barstool Baseball for saying this team 9th, but
damn. Well, I think
go for it.
We can all agree that 1 through 7, I feel like, have legitimate shots to win the World Series. There's a big gap between 8, and I think there's a big gap between 8 and 9 too. So yeah, I had trouble with it too. So I want to hear Carl's then, because I feel like you could sell it because we're kind of flimsy. Yeah.
I'm going against code though. You guys, I don't want to disrespect you guys, but I feel like the Angels are, they got the best. They've got an unbelievable 1, 2, 3 out of the bullpen. We could sit here and talk about Trout and Ohtani, but they're 28 and 25. They're not that much different than the Red Sox to me, with like a potent lineup that I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just reaching here because we just come in here week after week and never talk about the 2 best players in the world. And I could be rushing this a little bit, but they've played this past week.
Yeah. Here's the thing. They were on such a good trajectory here to maybe even be, solidified dynamite 8 team. And then they go out and they lose 2 to the Marlins. It's just like they sweep the Sox. They look great. And they get my attention. I'm like, wow, that was cool. That was impressive. They held their own there. And the Sox are, they're probably 9 here or 9 or 10. They're in this list. And they just go out and lose to the Marlins twice. It's just like this. This
with Ohtani. On a night where Ohtani pitched and was great. Bullpen spit it up. Yeah. Right. It's a good point.
Right.
So I won't put him here. I don't want to put him here because I think the Diamondbacks are a better team. Okay. I don't. I mean, even though the Diamondbacks had an opportunity to really fucking take steps forward.
Can I throw one note on the Angels before you do that, Carl?
Yeah.
Matt Moore. You mentioned the big 3.
Yeah.
He got signed during spring training. So if you're a good team, like my Mets, I'm sure, the Hubs Yankees, we could have had this guy pretty cheap right up until the season started, and we fucking missed the boat. And now, like Carl said, he's the biggest reason why this is an over 500 team. That's that big 3 of Estevez, Barria, and Moore. And we all could have had him, and we let it slip through our fingers, and that frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah. That's good. That is a good point. If you have a very good team, if you're willing to spend that much money on Frankie Lindor and you guys get Pete Alonso right in the draft and you go spend $86 million on those 2 guys at the top of your rotation, it does hurt to see Matt Moore dominate for the Angels.
No doubt.
I don't know. I was also thinking Diamondbacks though. So this is I'll send this one back to the panel because I had the 2 here with the Angels and the Diamondbacks. I had Diamondbacks 8. I had Angels 9. I had
the Brewers 9.
The Brewers had that crazy streak, but the Brewers can't hit, man. They have that crazy scoreless streak from guys Hubs brought up. Who the fuck knows who Colin Ray is unless you're a North Carolina baseball.
Right. See, the thing with the Snakes is is like, yeah, look fine, and then they go ahead and they lose 2 to Boston here this weekend. Like, no one
Right.
wanted to take the bull by the horns and be like, you know what? Okay, let's start to begin our push here. Everyone's kind of like stuck in the mud. Every single team.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to get complaints considering the fact that Boston has beaten Arizona, that we don't have Boston ahead of them. But I had the Diamondbacks actually at 8 on my list. And I'm glad they made it because I found some like bizarre anomalies with their pitching staff that actually gives me some hope for them going forward, because I think they have a good offense and I think they have a few really good young starting pitchers. But
so do we agree they're here at 9? Do we want to put them here 9?
Yeah, I would put them
Fine with that.
Yeah,
I had him at
I
10.
would put.
Hubs?
I had Boston 8 personally, and then I had the Diamondbacks 9.
All right, yeah,
I had
so-
Diamondbacks 8, so I think we're just this squeak show city Memorial Day show,
It's
guys.
hard. No, none of these teams are showing any consistency, so it's so hard to
Right.
like place them. These 8, 9, 10s are just like, yeah. whatever.
Do we want to
it's
do
like
a
you could-
tie? Should we issue our first tie ever?
No. Ties
No,
are for,
no
ties
ties.
are for
No.
losers.
I don't
No.
know if I don't ask Klemmer. That's why I asked.
They
Well,
tie in
that's why I
soccer.
told you.
We're not. This isn't soccer. We're not tying in soccer.
Whoa, I'm a big championship Sundays around the corner here, guys.
I'm with Hubs.
Hey, Chris, remember when you were in Chicago and I like pulled you aside? I was like, so here's the deal, dude. I'm like a big soccer fan, but I don't,
Yeah,
I don't want to get made fun
It's like,
of.
it's
for
like 2:00 in the afternoon, and you're like, I'm going to a bar to watch fucking soccer right now. And I'm like, I'll have at it, like with intensity, like it was Game
Yeah.
7 of the World Series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so cat's out of the bag, big soccer guy. Okay, so we want to pick Diamondbacks here, and we want
Okay,
to,
that's fine.
and we
That's
can,
fine.
you know what? If people from the Red Sox want to get mad at us,
Oh, they love to get mad.
Yeah.
you know, I don't know.
Sure.
I guess the problem with the Red Sox, and it's like we knew this was going to be the case this year. Like, are they probably on par with the Diamondbacks roster wise? Probably. Red Sox are like a 3rd or 4th place team, and they will be probably for the rest of the year. It's kind of hard to buy into, where do they rank among best teams in baseball? So I feel like they've had a hard time kind of cracking this list.
It's been a weird week for them because offense has not been the issue for them until the last like 6 games, where like it just completely vanished. Like pitching was the problem, and pitching continues to be my number one concern with them. But offense has been aside from Friday where they hung 7 on the Diamondbacks, they're scoring like 1 or 2 runs a game here for the last week. It's very weird. I didn't see this coming, but I mean, every team goes in ruts. Every offense, no matter how good, no matter how bad, like, they all have these weird stretches, but yeah, there's no consistency.
Any of these teams, though, Red Sox, Brewers, Diamondbacks, whatever, any of them have a big week this week,
Right.
though, and they would be right into
Right.
the
Immediately,
next
yeah.
week.
And
Like,
no one did it. No one.
we're just hoping that one of these teams can break out and make this list a little easier for us. So but like, believe me, the Red Sox go 5-2 or whatever, 5-1 next week, then they're going to be on this list.
Hey, Chris Sale looks great. Last thing, he really is getting
He
there.
does.
Last
He does.
start,
Yeah.
I think 5 innings, 1 run. He's got a 2.4 ERA in May. He's 3-0 with like 30 strikeouts and 26 innings against 17 hits. So, something to
They've
keep
got
an
a-
eye on.
They've got a big series against the Rays next weekend. 4-game series in Boston. Very,
Mm.
very, and Sale does not pitch in that series either. So, is there
Okay,
a doubleheader? Yeah, doubleheader Saturday.
To
So, did we
recap-
decide on anything?
Diamondbacks, right?
We got Diamondbacks 9.
And who's
Yeah.
8? Who's 8?
8 is the Twins.
8, we went Twins. Okay,
We went Twins, yeah.
okay, sure. Yeah, any of those teams you can make an argument and a counter argument for, and be very, very, very strong about it. 1 through 7 is pretty solidified though. Like that's it. And then there's like we said, huge drop off.
Just
That's
a
fine.
quick note on Corbin Carroll. So he's on pace for 90 runs,
Yeah.
39 doubles, 21 homers, 42 stolen bases. Like, this guy is so good. He's only 22 years old. Like, Corbin Carroll is already putting up Major League Baseball superstar numbers, and he's not even through the 3rd mark of his first full Major League season. I mean, this guy, and you talk about how good the Diamondbacks are. We have them on this list here, top 9 team. They haven't been a top 9 team this late in the season in a long time. Like, Corbin Carroll is so good. He's like, I think back to like when the Rays got Longoria, and that's when they started their run, and it timed perfectly. Longoria joined the team, and the Rays went to the World Series that year, like that, and they haven't really been bad really since. And you wonder if Corbin Carroll is having the same effect for the Diamondbacks. It's really.
Do you think he regrets signing his deal?
I don't know. Those checks still cash. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, there's something about having longevity, and assurance and all that, but man, he's playing above those numbers
But
currently.
he's probably going to win an MVP one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, but he really is something else. Like, I don't think he's getting for it. I don't know because he plays in Arizona or what, but like, can you imagine if the same guy was putting up those numbers in New York or Boston? I feel like it's all we talk about. I feel like Corbin Carroll just isn't getting enough respect across
Right.
National
If
media.
Anthony Volpe was putting up his numbers, it would be a giant conversation. Instead, it's not the opposite. So
Well, I want to talk about Corbin Carroll for a minute because I think the Diamondbacks in the last 4 games have hit him 5th, 2nd, 6th, and 3rd. I fucking hate that.
Me too.
You know, when he got up, they hit him in his first. They hit him 7th, then 5th, 6th, 5th, 6th, 5th, 6th for the most part. Then they realized, wait a second, this guy's fucking awesome. So in April, they started flirting with him in mid-April. They moved him to the 3 spot in the lineup. And he does really well initially. He does very well in the 3 spot in the lineup. The problem, though, is that in May, he's been, I shouldn't say he hit 360 once they moved into the 3 spot. Now in May, he's hitting 230. And so the last couple of games, it's like, we're going to hit you 5th. I remember watching the Diamondbacks saying, why the fuck is Corbin Carroll hitting 6th here? I just don't put this kid in a position where like, all right, hey, you had a good week. Now you're back in the 3 spot. Just hit him 5, limited him to 620 plate appearances on the year. Because if you hit a guy 2-3, you're literally guaranteeing that person another 100 plate appearances that season.
Right.
And I just don't know what unless it materially makes you that much better. But for Corbin Carroll, give him 4 good plate appearances a night. Give him 4. Like is that too much of a pussy take?
No. Not even further than that though. I love that you just brought this up because a computer, when it spits out what the lineup should be, and I guarantee you 90% of the fucking teams in baseball do this, the computer can't account for how a baseball player feels like being in a consistent spot in the lineup. Like there was something like, hey, I'm going to come to the ballpark today and I know I'm hitting 2. I'm hitting 3. I know what the situation is. When you come to the ballpark and you can be hitting 1, 3, 6, or 9, it's just insane. Your baseball players need to prepare. They have routine. And like when you don't know where you're hitting every single day, that's infuriating. And a computer cannot understand that. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. And it also matters who's hitting in front of you. Yes. Like let's say someone gets on base as the big base stealer. You need to have the awareness, to take that pitch. You need to have, have the you and that guy might also have some sort of synergy where he's gonna steal, and all that stuff matters a ton. Like, and when you start dicking around where especially a young player, putting him all over the place, put him at 5. Leave him there for the rest of the year. Boom.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what his expectations are. Well, like you said, he knows the routine. All that stuff matters a ton, especially to young players.
I love this discussion because I'm so fascinated by lineup construction and how big of a deal it is to these players, both physically and psychologically. I think a prime example of what you're kind of referring to, Carl, is that's basically what the Tigers have done with Spencer Torkelson, where they started batting him like 8th last year. It was awful. And then he got off to a not so great start this year. And I'm not saying he's completely turned it around, but AJ just got to a point where he goes, dude, you're batting 4th. Okay, because you're a good hitter. We're going to put you in the 4th spot. Okay, you're hitting the ball hard. Your data is really good. And his OPS since, they put him there is like into the 800s. It's been similar with Riley Green as well. I think especially with young players, when you're just learning the ropes of a major league system, to have that kind of consistent spot where it's like, okay, don't have to worry about anything else. I'm batting 2nd tonight. Don't have to worry about I'm batting 5th. I think that's huge psychologically for these players.
Yep.
So one big takeaway from the evolution of sabermetrics is like, just because it doesn't matter to a front office doesn't mean it doesn't matter to the players. And so Bill James will tell you like a lineup construction doesn't matter. You can hit a guy 1-9 over 162 games. That roster will still produce around about the same amount of runs, and sometimes maybe a little bit more. Like it's a profound thing from the sabermetric position. But I love your point, like the routine aspect. If you're hitting 5th, like you have a vibe and energy in the first inning. Like, hey, if I get up in the first, that's a good fucking sign.
Yeah,
or like you have a different
right.
mentality in the second inning if they go 1, 2, 3, because now you're the second hitter in the second inning. And it just, and a hitter will tell you, dude, hitting 2 versus 3 is a huge fucking difference. Yeah. And hitting 3 versus 4 is hitting 6 versus 2 to 3 to 3 to 6 to 5. They have a good thing going with the Diamondbacks. They should not be pressuring Corbin Carroll to be the guy that makes this season matter. Like, you just love what you're saying. Hit him 5, fucking hit Ketel Marte 2. Just run your boys out there. And by the way, if we're going to talk about the Diamondbacks last thing, Perdomo is awesome this year. He's their most valuable player, and no one will know who he is. Geraldo Perdomo does not strike out a ton, walks a little bit of everything for you.
Yeah.
But everything. So Guys, this has been a good show. I had a segment planned at the end. We'll talk Hall of Fame stuff. We'll save that for later in the week. This is the Memorial Day show. How are the vibes right now? I thoroughly enjoyed myself. This is a great balanced discussion.
This was a great show.
Good stuff.
This is a really good show. I'm feeling good.
Before we go, we have to mention, I don't get to do the AL show.
Yeah.
We have to mention the A's. We have to, Carl.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Chris sent a note yesterday to the group chat that I thought was absolutely, I pissed my pants laughing. Okay, I'm pulling this note up quick because I'll only just say like the initial title. So it looks like this is a picture out of a fucking like pregame media panel. The A's are scheduled to play their 54th game of the season. They're a third of the way through the season. They're on pace to have the second most losses in Major League history, the 1899 Cleveland Spiders. They went 20-134. The pitchers are the A's are on pace to go 31-131.
Yeah. Like they've lost 10 in a row. Like this is, what happened was Brent Rooker stopped hitting. So he was having a slugging percentage like 650 in April, crazy numbers. He was carrying that lineup. And now he's crashing back to earth because Brent Rooker is not a particularly very good player. And the reality is starting to burden the A's that now they can't hit. And we already know they can't pitch. So they are right now 10-44. They have a winning percentage of 185. Look, I'm old. I've been watching baseball since before all of you guys were born. And I tell you right now, I don't know if I've seen a 185 winning percentage in Major League Baseball. You'll see it in the NBA and you'll see it in NFL. I don't know if I've seen Major League Baseball 185, this late, we're at the third mark. We're at the 1/3 mark of the baseball season, and we're seeing a 185. That's
no, I'll say, I think it's almost inevitable that they break maybe not catch the Cleveland Spiders, but at least break the expansion Mets record, because the team that should have done it was my illustrious 03 Tigers, right? And that team was god-awful. But bizarrely, as bad as they were, and they almost broke that record, Dimitri Young was like a top 20 hitter in baseball that year. So to me, Brent Rooker was to this year's A's team what Dimitri Young was, where it's like, okay, you are an awful team, but you have one hitter who will probably win you enough games to avoid getting to that 120 loss mark. And if he comes back down to earth at all, like you have a team with 0 good hitters and basically 0 great, major league pitchers. It's rough. I tweeted out yesterday, like, it's so inevitable that they lose. It's like, does the commissioner have the authority to just mercy kill a season? You guys have to forfeit the rest of your games because this doesn't.
But why would we assume that baseball doesn't like the A's? I think that's where people are like, oh, the commissioner's got to do something. How do the owners let this happen? This guy just took the least valuable club in the most expensive market that Major League Baseball doesn't need 2 teams in the Bay. You have the Giants and they're fucking dominant. They've won 3 World Series in the last, 12 years. The A's moving to Vegas. If you're Rob Manfred, you're fucking shaking John Fisher's hand behind closed doors. You're giving him a hug and a kiss. Thank you so much for getting us into Vegas and willing to be just a public villain and an awful person. The owners are probably sending them gift baskets and blowjobs. Like John Fisher's doing everybody a favor of being the bad guy because baseball wants to get to Vegas and they don't want 2 teams in the Bay Area, or they would have kept 2 teams in the Bay Area.
But this is embarrassing, Carl. This is not good for the sport.
I agree it's embarrassing, but for the powers that be behind closed doors have to secretly love it. Have to secretly
from a business
love
standpoint
to say we're setting the tone right now. A team's going to go out and lose 131 games. Fucking deal with it. Deal with it. You don't like it? Deal with it. That's what the billionaires are saying.
I'll take this from the gambling perspective. I've never seen a road team be minus 360 like the Astros were yesterday with Framber on the mound. And you have to think like Vegas is kind of taking a little hurt with this because the average gambler is just going to lay a number against the A's every single day. And they know that that's probably going to result in the victory. like when the Astros had no chance of losing that game yesterday. 0. They have no chance of losing today. No, they haven't played the game yet, but yeah, they're minus what? It's minus 280 again. They're not beating the Astros.
I'll take the A's right now.
You won't have fun.
It's Major League Baseball. It's Major League.
It's not though here. It's not here. This isn't Major League Baseball.
Not Major League Baseball.
Dude, this isn't Major League Baseball. This is far from it.
Okay.
The run line has been like a godsend this year for having the A's. Like you just take whoever's playing the A's and you take the run line. The A's bullpen is so bad. Their A's don't lose 1-run games.
Yeah.
The A's lose 5-run games. Like the A's are so bad they can't even be competitive game to game. No, the A's to me right now are the most interesting story in baseball in the past week. Like we've really starting to see the bottom fall out, and it's ugly, and it's going to happen. We still have 108 games left.
Yeah. The one positive you can say, they have exceeded expectation. Like they have been substantially worse than any of us even predicted that they could
no,
be.
This is what I said. I thought they'd be this bad.
I didn't think
you thought a 180 winning percentage in Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I said they were going to lose 123 games before the season. So yeah,
well, isn't this pace worse? What's this pace?
It is, but like they also could go on a little run where they win 3 or 4 games and it bounces.
Against who? What team?
The Royals. Well, they played the Royals.
That's the only team they've beaten. I think a series.
Yeah.
They've taken a series was the Royals. I think that's the only team. Oddly enough, I think they have 2 wins against the Rangers this year.
Yeah, they do.
That's
weird.
Crazy. Yeah.
That's funny. We're talking about the A's is like their wins out there. They got 2 wins here, 3 wins there.
It's crazy.
Like it's almost June, and we're talking about a baseball team like they're a fucking AFC North. Like 500. They're the fucking 2006 Browns.
Yeah,
it's very interesting if you look at the standings. How the AL or the NL, excuse me, has so much parity. National League, no one has an over 605 winning percentage, but no one has a winning percentage under 430. But in the AL, you have the Rays who are crazy. And then you have the A's and Royals who are so horrible. I mean, even the Orioles are on pace for 100 wins. The Rangers are on pace for 100 wins. You have 3 teams in the AL on pace for 100 wins. You don't have a team in the NL that's on pace for even 99. Right. So it is interesting to see kind of how the leagues are very different this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boys. Last thing, Klemmer, fuck you. The Nationals are 18-16 since April 20th.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, you come in here every time you get a chance to shit on the Nationals. You say they're a bad team. We shouldn't say anything nice. Fuck you.
Well, they're still on pace for 90 losses, Carl. Everyone acts like the Nationals are great. Nationals are in the last place, on pace for 90 losses. And guess what? That soft schedule they just played, it's not soft anymore. It's going to get real hard, real fast.
Rock hard. Get rock hard for me, baby.
At least they're like feisty. Like you play like the A's just roll over. Like at least the Nats are going to give you a little bit of a fight.
The Nationals give you a lot of fight. And I hope Davey Martinez keeps his job this year because he deserves it. That team comes out to fight every game. Yeah. That's an example of a bad team playing to the best of their ability, and you got to respect them. One last thing, too. The Mets are not playing on Memorial Day. How is that possible?
All teams should play on Memorial Day. It should be like opening day. Yeah.
And the other weird schedule quirk is I think the Cardinals have 2 off days in a row. I think they have Wednesday and Thursday off. Check that out. It's very strange.
This is the first year Major League Baseball is putting new scheduling in, so maybe they had to make some compromises in getting everybody balanced, I guess. But you're right. It's a Memorial Day. There should be they should stack and slate the games. Give me a 10 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Give me something like as a Mets fan. I mean, have the day off, and you want to watch. What's more American, than watching some baseball? So I mean, I don't know. So
at least it's a day full of baseball. Remember, I was really annoyed with opening day this year. There was just it was usually a bonanza of games like all day, and it was just nothing on where like on ESPN. ESPN usually does like a quadruple header on opening day. Nothing this year. What?
Yeah.
What about getting 3 time slots on Saturdays and Sundays? It's hard for Sunday because you got to travel, but at least on Saturday, give me the time slot groupings the way they do at the NFL. Like, can we get 5 games at noon, 5 games at 4 p.m., and 5 games at 8 p.m. and maybe do some sort of like centralized programming around it, or kind of have the same broadcast, or have a broadcast at the noon, have a Fox broad. I don't know. There's got to be something there where you can normalize it. And the other idea I had was Saturday doubleheaders, where they like make Saturday doubleheaders a thing more often. Where
I want more doubleheaders. 2
of those a month. Give me 2 weekend doubleheaders a month, and then you get an off day. We'll fucking give you an off day. Last idea for the schedule. Fans love it. Players hate it. I pitch this to players. They're like, fuck that. Pitch it to fans. They love it. Weeks. Just give me a week. All right. I'm a Cubs fan. It's fucking Marlins week. The Marlins are in town this week. They play on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We play 5-game series. Everybody's off on Monday, Tuesday. Get the schedule down to 150 games. Play for 30 weeks. Start a little bit early. I don't know, maybe get it down to 140 games. But the idea is that you have weeks. You have so like the Braves are in town this week. Like, dude, which Braves game are you going to? And then when the Mets they're out for the week. I think it would be easier to get fans to go to games, or maybe this is a bad idea. But I like weeks. Like the best thing about a Bears fan is fucking Packers week. They're like, oh, dude, we got Pack. And in the whole story is just around that matchup and that team. I think baseball could do something like
They're
that.
just never going to shrink the amount of games. That takes money out of the owner's pocket. That will never happen. It's a good. I don't hate the idea. It will never happen. Owners are too greedy.
I also understand why the players hate it, because like if you play the team you are in April nowadays is so much different than the team that you are in September. So if you're having a shitty April and you play 7 games against the Braves or something like, and you lose them all, you might not be able to get that shit back like throughout the rest of the season.
But if the Braves are worse at that point in the season, there's an advantage. I get that was the number one thing they said, was that like that it would just be hard to match up like the competitive balance at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
My number one pitch though to the player and the coach, like to the people, the day-to-day side is, wouldn't you like a full week at home? Wouldn't you like Monday, Tuesday off, hanging out with the family, taking a dump, in your own house? You know what I mean? Like that's a nice be around the kids. But this is the Monday Power Ranking show. I had one through wherever it's at. Let me see. We have the Rays 1, Rangers 2, Dodgers 3, Baltimore Orioles 4, Houston Astros 5. Welcome to the top 5, Houston. Braves 6. That's our top 6. We said that's the tier 1 top 6. Rounding it out, Yankees 7, Twins 8, Diamondbacks 9. This was a great show. I loved it very much. I hope you guys have a wonderful Memorial Day.
You as well. Thank you, guys.
Klemmer, get some fucking rest.
I'm going to get my hair cut.
Until next time, guys. We'll see you then.